Module Overview. In the universe of design, every creation begins with a mark, a line, a contour, a boundary. Module 2 dives deeply into three of the most fundamental elements of design: line, shape, and form. These foundational components not only define the edges and outlines of every visual object, but also establish structure, hierarchy, and emotion within compositions. Their mastery is essential for any designer, whether working in 2D media like graphic design or 3D disciplines like architecture and sculpture. This module guides you through the ontological significance, psychological impact, and functional utility of line, shape, and form, breaking down how they operate individually, interdependently, and within cultural and symbolic frameworks. It goes beyond visual representation, encouraging you to analyze how these elements direct the eye, create mood, influence perception, and construct visual narratives. Line. The beginning of all visual construction. Lines are the most primal and versatile design elements. A line can suggest motion, create texture, divide space, imply emotion, or build form. In design, lines are more than paths. They are tools of direction, emphasis, rhythm, and emotion. Types of lines: straight lines, directional, static, architectural, curved lines, organic, soft, elegant. Horizontal lines: calmness, stability, grounding. Vertical lines: authority, elevation, spirituality. Diagonal lines: tension, movement, dynamism. Zigzag lines: chaos, energy, disruption. Implied lines: not physically drawn, but perceived through alignment of elements. Functional uses: guiding the eye across composition. Creating divisions or segments, grids, margins. Establishing mood, rigid versus relaxed. Suggesting movement, time, or emotion. Psychological interpretation: thin versus thick lines, fragility versus strength, jagged versus flowing lines, anger versus peace. Cultural and symbolic meanings. In African design, lines in tribal patterns often signify rights or status. In Chinese painting, brushstrokes are spiritually expressive. Shape. Flat, defined space. Shape is an area enclosed by lines. It can be geometric, organic, or abstract, and it forms the basis of all visual structure. While line leads the eye, shape gives it something to rest upon. Shapes are essential in building both literal and symbolic meaning in a composition. Types of shapes: geometric, circles, squares, triangles, precision, control, order. Organic, irregular, natural contours, life, chaos, nature. Abstract, stylized or distorted forms, expressionism, emotion. Use in composition, creating contrast and focal points, forming icons, logos, and symbols, organizing space into zones, establishing branding identity, e.g. Apple's logo shape. Negative versus positive shapes. Positive, the actual object. Negative, the space around and between objects. Manipulating both creates visual balance and tension. Form, giving volume to shape. While shape exists in 2 dimensions, form is the 3-dimensional embodiment of shape. It introduces depth, perspective, and realism into design. In digital design, form is created using shading, gradients, and light direction. In physical media, it exists in sculpture, architecture, and industrial design. Types of forms: geometric forms, cubes, spheres, cylinders. Organic forms: fluid, natural, living contours. Abstract forms: sculptural, non-literal constructions. Tools to create illusion of form: shading and lighting, highlights and shadows. Perspective: linear, vanishing points, atmospheric value and gradient. From light to dark tones. Texture, simulated, digital or actual, tactile. Design applications: 3D modeling, animation, architectural visualization, product packaging. Sculpture, branding, think Coca-Cola bottle contour. Typography and lettering, 3D type. The interconnectedness of line, shape, and form. Designers use these three elements in concert to communicate concepts and provoke reactions. A single line can become a shape through repetition or closure. A shape can suggest form through tonal variation. This module trains you to see and manipulate these transitions, fostering skills in visual construction, dimensional illusion, and symbolic layering. Critical thinking and studio activity suggestions. Redesign a famous logo using only organic shapes and analyze the change in perception. Sketch a composition using only diagonal lines to create a sense of chaos. Create an abstract 3D form using line repetition and gradient shading in Illustrator. Analyze a sculpture and identify how shape transforms into form under light. Key takeaways. Line defines direction, structure, and motion. Shape defines area. Form adds depth. Each element can manipulate visual weight, emphasis, and meaning. Their psychological and symbolic implications differ across cultures. Understanding these structural components is critical to mastering design expression.